Hello, everyone. Welcome back to The Dark Side. I'm your host, Sherry. Today, we've got a case out of the city of Kalamazoo, Michigan. In 2016, a man goes on this rampage for around 8 hours. This city was terrorized for 8 hours during this spree of senseless crimes. This case is truly horrific. This is episode 149, The Case of Jason Dalton. This story takes us back to 2016. Can you believe it's been 9 years since then? President Obama declared the water in Flint, Michigan was a national disaster. Some A-list stars passed away: David Bowie, Prince, Alan Rickman, Gene Wilder, and Muhammad Ali. Convicted rapist Brock Turner, who was a student at Stanford University, was sentenced to only 6 months in jail, which ignited a nationwide outcry. The Chicago Cubs broke the 108-year curse by winning the World Series. And in weird news from 2016, a business in Japan named Time & Company began offering its employees 1 to 3 days paid leave after a breakup to recover emotionally. It's only weird news because not many companies would do that. Kalamazoo, Michigan is a pretty decent-sized city. It's the home of the original Gibson guitar. It offers free college tuition to students that graduate from their public schools. It's the site of the very first outdoor pedestrian mall. The Kellogg cereal founder, W.K. Kellogg, was born in Kalamazoo. The city played a significant role in the early development of the cereal industry. Kalamazoo is also home to Bell's Brewery. I'm not a fan of craft beer or any beer really, but Bell's is a pretty popular brand for beer drinkers. One resident of the city of Kalamazoo is a 45-year-old man named Jason Dalton. He and his wife have been married since 1995. They have 2 children. One is 10 and one is 15. Jason is a very normal guy. According to MLive, Jason played football, wrestling, and track in high school. He graduated in 1989 from Comstock High. He's described as cordial to everyone he meets, but he won't go out of his way to make friends with you. He was known to be level-headed and non-confrontational. He hated any kind of conflict and typically avoided it. According to his longtime friend, Andrew Jameson, Jason would walk across the street to avoid trouble. His neighbors described him as easygoing and just a nice guy. He also had no criminal history. In the early 90s, he got his degree in law enforcement, but had trouble finding a job as a police officer, so he decided to pursue another career. He went back to school, and this time for auto body work, and for a while he worked at BMW. He was also interested in insurance, so he liked body work and he liked insurance, so he became a claims adjuster working at State Farm and Progressive Insurance. Eventually, he became an independent insurance adjuster and was contracted by different companies. At some point, someone broke into Jason's garage and stole a bunch of high-dollar tools. When Jason saw he had been robbed, he suddenly became very interested in guns. He had never owned a gun before, but suddenly he is out buying guns. Eventually, he had about 16 in total. The average American household has 8, so it's not like super crazy to own 16, but I mean, it's a lot to me. He goes out shooting at the gun range a lot, and guns have now become his main hobby. On February 20th, 2016, Jason was out with a friend at a local gun shop. Everyone there said he was in a good mood and even told one of the employees that he was going to go out and enjoy the nice weather. See, this is the first day in a while that it was sunny and unseasonably warm. Februaries in Michigan are no joke. It's 40 degrees out and snow is now melting. Kids are playing outside. A lot of folks were out today and everyone was happy for some sunshine, unless you're someone like me who prefers indoors and dark skies. Jason and his friend part ways and Jason returns home. Around 2 weeks prior, Jason wanted a way to make some extra cash. He and his family weren't experiencing financial hardship or anything like that, but he wanted a way to make some extra cash to take his wife and 2 kids to Disneyland. He gets this part-time job driving for Uber. So Uber's been around since 2012, but it wasn't very popular back then, and Uber drivers were few and far between. But by 2016, Uber is commercialized and way more common than it was back when it started. Suddenly, there's tons of Uber drivers in cities and towns. Being an Uber driver in Kalamazoo, Michigan would be easy. There's always drunk college kids looking for a ride or people needing a ride whose car is in the shop. Business folks need rides to airports. So this was an easy way to get some extra cash. Jason applied to be an Uber driver and he got accepted. He passes the background check and he's ready to start driving. This part is important because I didn't know this is how it worked, but it's important to the case. So with Uber, drivers go on the app and have the option to be active and available or deactivated. Basically, whenever you want to drive, you just flip on your green light or whatever it is, and people can use you for a ride. When it's turned off, no one can request a ride from you. So it's kind of like you could make your own hours. By February 20th, 2016, Jason has been driving for Uber for 2 weeks. Jason was a good driver and had a 5-star rating. He was always on time, drove safely, didn't talk the passengers' ears off. People liked riding with him. Jason goes on his Uber app and pushes his ready to drive button. Then he just sits back and waits for a notification. And ding, there it is. Someone needs a ride. He gets in his silver Chevy Equinox and fires it up and heads to pick up the passenger. At 4:30 p.m., he picks up a young man named Matt Mellon. Matt is 30 years old and works at a brewery. He needed a ride to his friend's house to pick up his car. He had left it there after a birthday party the previous night. When Jason pulls up, Matt does a little comparison on his Uber app. Chevy Equinox, check. The driver is a man in his 40s with glasses, check. This is his ride. As Matt approaches the car, he sees a German Shepherd in the back seat. Matt's a little spooked by this, but doesn't want to cancel the ride and pay a cancellation fee. The guy's already here, and Matt just figures, okay, I guess I'm riding with this big dog. The driver says this is his family's dog, and her name is Mia. Matt climbs in the front passenger seat and begins chatting with his driver, Jason. Just awkward small talk, beautiful day we're having, that kind of thing. The driver gets a phone call, and it's from his teenage son. He answers the phone, and it's on Bluetooth, so it's playing through the car's speakers. Matt is trying to just play on his phone or whatever. He doesn't want to listen to this guy's call, but he really doesn't have a choice. The boy had called his dad to see if he wanted them to pick up dinner for him while he and his mom and sister were out running errands. That's it. There's nothing special about this call, but something in the driver suddenly changed when he hung up. Suddenly, Matt says the driver floored the gas pedal. He is running through stop signs and driving erratically. He ends up sideswiping a car. Next thing Matt knows, they are in a residential area. This is a neighborhood. The driver is doing 70, 80 miles per hour through this neighborhood. The driver is very calm and not yelling or jerking around. Matt is yelling for him to stop. He says, "Let me out of this car." The driver just calmly says, "Matt, you needed a ride. I'm taking you to your friend's house." This is giving like horror movie vibes. Matt is feeling like he's going to die at this point. He's telling the driver, "That's my friend's house right there, stop." But the driver doesn't stop. He tells him, "Just let me out here. That's another friend's house." But the driver is still flying through this neighborhood. He's even going up into people's yards. By now, people who are outside in their yards during this gorgeous afternoon are seeing this erratic car. 911 received multiple calls about a silver Equinox driving really fast and hitting cars. Finally, the driver slams on his brakes, almost sending Matt through the windshield. I don't know how this poor German Shepherd handled it in the back seat, but the car has come to a screeching halt. Matt opens the passenger door and tumbles out of it. The car then takes off. Matt runs to the closest house and tells the homeowner who saw this car driving erratically then slam on its brakes. He tells her to call 911. He's calling them himself, too. Matt is super shaken up and traumatized and doesn't understand what just happened. The guy seems super cool. Then he gets his phone call from his kid asking about dinner, and it was like a light switch. Matt just went through some pretty traumatic stuff, but he's calling 911 because he doesn't want this guy to hurt or kill anyone else. Plus, he needs Uber to deactivate him, or else he's going to pick up someone else. I'll play Matt's call to 911. What you won't hear was Matt got routed to 2 different jurisdictions before this operator came on. Now, listeners, I need you to please give me some feedback on this. Let me know I'm not crazy. Was this operator out of line? Or is she just having a bad day and is otherwise probably a really good operator? I'd love to hear your thoughts on this.
911?
Hi. I'd like to report an erratic driver.
Where?
I was just in the car with him. He was my Uber driver, and he was weaving in and out of lanes, he sideswiped the car on West Main Hill. He was driving to the median. He was driving like 75 miles an hour down West Main. I got his license plate number when I jumped out of the car.
What's the plate, please? Okay, what kind of car is it?
It was like a Chevy Equinox.
What color?
Silver. He had a dog in the back seat. He was my Uber driver. Like I had to get a ride back to pick up my car from last night.
Mm-hmm.
And on my way to my friend's house, like it started off normal, and then all of a sudden he just started driving super crazy, blowing stop signs.
Did you want to talk to an officer, or you just want me to put out an alert over the radio?
I just wanted to report it because I don't want someone to get hurt.
I understand what you're saying, but I need to know if you want to talk to an officer or if you want me to have an officer, just have the officers just be on the lookout for it.
I just want to be on the lookout. And
okay, thank you.
Report to Uber because I don't think he needs to be picking people up.
Okay, you're going to have to do that, sir, not us.
I know emergency operators have a hard job. I get it. It's not easy fielding these calls all day. But he's trying to tell her what happened. She says, do you want a police officer to come out, or do you want an officer to just be on the lookout? I mean, she's the professional. She should know what to do, not leave it up to the victim, who is very shaken up. He asks her if she can report him to Uber, and she interrupts him by saying, sir, you're going to have to do that, not us. You can tell she just doesn't want to talk to him, and she's trying to get him off the phone. At least that's my opinion. That's the vibe I get. I know eventually Matt does become a local hero after this, so I'm sure this operator caught some flack from the folks in Kalamazoo. Matt tries to contact Uber and is unsuccessful. He needs them to turn off this driver's app. He tries calling and calling Uber, but no one's answering their customer service. Matt's girlfriend goes on Facebook and posts a picture of the driver from the Uber app along with a description of the vehicle. She tells people to steer clear of this driver. He just gave her boyfriend a ride and almost killed him. The post read, quote, "Attention Kalamazoo peeps. This Uber driver named Jason drives a silver Chevy Equinox and is not a safe ride. Despite Matt pleading with this driver to pull over, he refused. He was acting completely normal throughout all of this erratic driving. I'm hoping this man will be arrested or hospitalized soon if he has a medical condition causing his behavior." The post ended up getting a bunch of shares within the community. Meanwhile, Jason drives to his home where he grabbed his 9mm Glock and his son's bulletproof vest. Why would a teenage boy have a bulletproof vest? There's really an innocent explanation. His son had been part of the Michigan State Police's Explorer program, and that was one of the items from the program. Because Matt can't get a hold of Uber to deactivate Jason, he is still getting notifications from the Uber app that people are looking for a ride. Jason accepts the next one to come through and drives to a local apartment complex called The Meadows. This person requesting an Uber is a 15-year-old girl named Macy. Jason is having trouble locating the girl since there's a bunch of apartment buildings and they all look the same. They're messaging each other in the app and she's telling him her location. She's asking, "Where are you? Are you good?" He tells her she gave him the wrong directions. She later realized she had entered the address for the leasing office and not the actual apartment she was at. It's 5:30 p.m. and he's cruising through this apartment complex looking for the passenger Macy when he spots a woman coming out of the building. 25-year-old Tiana Caruthers had just finished a workout when her daughter came inside with her friends. Remember, this is the first nice day in a while and lots of kids are outside playing. Her daughter comes in and tells her mom that she and her friends want to go play with another friend who lives in another apartment. They'll have to cross a street and a large piece of grass to get to the other apartment complex. Her mom tells her daughter and her friends that she would walk them over there. So she steps outside. She's got 6 little girls in tow. They start their walk when a silver Chevy Equinox pulls up next to them. This angry driver leans out and asks if her name is Macy. Tiana replied that no, her name was not Macy. She says, "Come on, girls, let's go." The driver sped off, but then turned around and came back. He pulls up next to them again and points a 9mm handgun directly at Tiana. She screams for the kids to run and don't stop. Tiana attempted to run, but Jason begins firing at her. He ends up shooting Tiana 4 times. Tiana decides to just lay there and play dead. She thought she was dying anyway. She thought, this is the end. 7 of the stray bullets went into an apartment and through the walls, barely missing a few teenage boys who were inside playing video games. Jason speeds off in his car. Tiana is laying there. She's alive but needs medical attention ASAP. 911 receives so many calls. This is a busy apartment complex on a nice evening. A crowd gathers around Tiana. They tell her not to move. She is screaming and begging everyone to tell her the kids were okay. She said in an interview that she would have never been able to live with herself if something happened to one of those kids. The kids were all safe. In fact, Tiana had shielded a couple of them with her body. It could have been a lot worse. Tiana said she would gladly do it again to save those kids. She was taken to the hospital and underwent multiple surgeries. She was hit in the arm, both legs, and 1 bullet went into her liver and is still lodged in there today. It's a miracle that Tiana survived. Spoiler alert, Tiana went through months of rehabilitation and multiple surgeries, and she is now a motivational speaker. She's a hero for sure, if I've ever seen one. So all these calls to 911 come in. Everyone is describing the shooter as being in a silver Chevy Equinox with a bunch of front-end damage. 911 calls Matt back and asked him if he was the one who reported the erratic Uber driver. He's like, yeah, I guess you guys actually want to talk to me now. They have made a connection that this is the same person. They ask Matt to give some more information about the driver. What did he look like, etc. Matt provides all the info he could. Meanwhile, Jason calls his wife and tells her to meet him at his parents' house. His parents are currently away on vacation. His wife is at Sam's Club with the 2 kids. She's loading groceries into her car, so she isn't sure what this is about, but she drives to his parents' house. When he gets there, his wife is like, "What the heck happened to your car? Why is there all this damage?" He says that he was shot at by some cab drivers. He said that they don't like Uber drivers and they shot at him. He convinces her that cab drivers and Uber drivers are like big rivals, and she believes him. He tells her to take the kids and go inside my parents' house. I want you guys to stay here all night. He puts a handgun in his wife's waistband. He tells her to keep the kids home from school on Monday and she will need to stay home from work. She asks Jason, "Are you drunk?" He says no. She asks him, "Well, what is going on and why are you acting so strange?" Jason said he couldn't tell her, but she would see it on the 11 o'clock news that night. He leaves the Chevy Equinox in the garage and takes their black Chevy HHR. So all of these reports are for a Chevy Equinox. Now they will be looking for that, but he's in a whole different car now. He fires up his Uber app and starts driving around. He sees police cars driving fast, heading towards the apartment complex he was just at. He returns to his house to retrieve more guns. For the next couple of hours, he's picking up passengers and seems to be driving normally. When he arrives each time, he tells the passengers that he knows the app is showing a silver Equinox, but it wasn't running, so he was using his wife's car. A 53-year-old man named Rich Smith is a construction manager for Jacob Fields North America. He and his wife have been married for 24 years. They have 2 children, a 19-year-old daughter and a 17-year-old son. Rich and his 17-year-old son are very close. They do everything together. On the night of February 20th, 2016, Rich had plans to take his son Tyler to a large car dealership to look at new trucks. Tyler wanted a big truck that he could take off-road and that kind of thing. It's 10 o'clock at night, and the reason why they were going so late is because they don't want any sales guys to come over and hassle them. I get it. I've totally done that before. Tyler is a good kid. He plays on the school soccer team as the goalie. He gets good grades. His dad feels like he deserves a new truck, and he's going to make that happen for him. But let's go look for one, and then we'll come back in a couple days and buy it. This dealership was like the biggest in town. It's at the corner of a large intersection, and it's very busy there at all times. This isn't some mom and pop dealership in the middle of nowhere. It's a large, flashy dealership with tons of lights and surveillance cameras. Rich and Tyler's girlfriend, whose name is Alexis, some reports say she was 16, others say she was 17. I don't know which one of those is correct. Well, they get in Rich's Range Rover. Tyler and his dad are up front, and Alexis is sitting in the back seat. They drive to this car dealership, and Rich and Tyler get out and have their sights on this nice blue truck. It's exactly what Tyler wanted. Alexis stays in the back seat while the father and son are looking at the truck. Alexis says that she saw a dark-colored car pull in, and a man got out. He was not tall, but not short, slightly heavy-set, and wearing black glasses. She thinks it's odd because the dealership was closed. She watches the man walk up to Tyler and Rich, and he asks them what they're doing. Suddenly, he pulls out a gun and begins shooting at both of them. She heard either Tyler or Rich yell, "What are you doing?" Alexis got on the floorboard of the back seat and waited there. This poor teenage girl just saw her boyfriend and his dad get shot to death. She doesn't have her cell phone with her, so she can't call for help. After 16 shots were fired, she heard silence. She watched a shadow walk next to the car she was in and kept on walking. Eventually, she heard a car start and leave. Meanwhile, this is a very busy road, even at 10 o'clock at night. Suddenly, people are calling 911 and saying that they were driving and saw a shooting at the Sealy Auto dealership. What Alexis did next was incredibly brave. She waited till she was sure the man was gone. She snuck out of the Range Rover and ran towards Tyler and Rich. Both were deceased. She reached in Tyler's pocket and pulled out his cell phone. She runs and gets back in the car and calls 911. So this town, which is relatively safe, has had 2 murders and 1 attempted murder all in the same night. But they're confused because the last shooting was from a silver Chevy Equinox, and this driver got out of a black HHR. The police arrive at the dealership, and Alexis tells them everything that happened. I saw all the body cam footage, and it was so sad. They do a quick search of Alexis. I assume this is standard protocol. They discuss how lucky Alexis was. If Jason would have seen her, he definitely would have shot her. Imagine if she had got out of the vehicle with them to have a look at the truck. They're able to get the security videos, and they see Jason Dalton just walk up to the 2 men and begin firing. They were shot at a total of 16 times. At a nearby Cracker Barrel restaurant, approximately 10 minutes away, a group of women were getting ready to leave. According to Detroit Free Press, this group of women consisted of Mary Lou Nye. She is 62 years old and a daycare worker at a church. Her sister-in-law was with her. Her name is Mary Jo Nye. She is 60 years old and a retired school teacher. Judy Brown, who is 74 years old, she works for Guardian Finance and Advocacy. Barbara Hawthorne is 68 years old. She retired from the Kellogg plant in Battle Creek, Michigan. And lastly, Abigail Kopf. Abigail is 14 years old. She was Barbara's unofficial adopted granddaughter. Barbara knew her parents and just kind of filled the role of a grandmother. She would take Abigail places and they just enjoyed each other's company. On this night, the women are getting ready to leave the Cracker Barrel. They had just finished watching an acrobat performance at West Michigan University. They met back at Cracker Barrel and they were in two different cars parked next to each other. They're saying their goodbyes, talking about how good the show was and how they ate too much at the restaurant. Everybody's in their cars. Suddenly, a black HHR pulls up next to them. Jason asked the woman in the driver's seat if she could spare $1 to make America great again. She replied no. Suddenly, he begins firing into their cars. Other people who were in the parking lot were taking cover and calling emergency services. When police arrived, they see all of the women were dead, except Barbara, who was clinging to life. They see at Barbara's feet is what appears to be a child. 14-year-old Abigail was shot in the head, but miraculously still alive. Both Barbara and Abigail are taken by ambulance. Unfortunately, Barbara passed away later on that night. Abigail is taken in for emergency surgery. So she was shot in the head and is somehow still alive. Her parents rushed to the hospital and braced themselves that Abigail may not wake up. In fact, at one point, Abigail was declared dead. Her mom goes in to say her goodbye and felt her body move. She screams for the doctors to get in there now, and Abigail suddenly has a pulse. Just to jump ahead, Abigail ended up having several surgeries and was in the hospital for 6 months. She had part of her brain removed at the frontal lobe and a metal plate was put inside her head. After 2 years of learning how to walk and talk and eat again, Abigail was able to return to school. Jason leaves the Cracker Barrel and continues to pick up passengers and take them to their destinations. His passengers all said he was completely fine and even singing songs on the radio. With one of his fares for the night, the Uber app malfunctioned and the guy wasn't charged for the ride. Jason tells him, it's whatever, I guess you got a free ride. One guy named Derek, who is a law student in Indianapolis, was in the town of Kalamazoo with his wife visiting his in-laws. It's late and they're at a cafe. They get ready to walk back to the hotel, but a waitress said, wait, you may not want to do that. There's a crazy driver going around shooting random people. You should probably get an Uber instead. It'd be much safer. So he gets on his Uber app, and a few minutes later, he gets a call from an Uber driver saying he was 5 minutes away and he wouldn't be in a silver Equinox like the app is showing. Instead, he would be in a black HHR. They get into the car and ask the driver if he's heard about that crazy guy going around shooting people tonight. He says, yeah, he's heard of him. Derek jokingly asked him if he was the shooter, and he said no, he was just tired. Later, he picked up a car full of drunk college guys leaving a bar. They were laughing in the car. A couple of the guys asked Jason, "You're not that killer, are you?" They laughed and said, "You don't have a gun on you, do you? Are you going to shoot us?" Jason says no and continues driving. 8 total HHRs were pulled over that night. Finally, around 12:30 a.m., HHR number 9 was spotted. Jason is alone in the car. He is pulled over and officers are bracing themselves for a shootout. They assume he's going to start wildly firing at them. Maybe a suicide by cop situation may occur. They tell him to put his hands out the window and they make their way over to him. He is quickly placed under arrest. Officers find his gun in his back waistband and it's placed into an evidence bag. His 8-hour reign of terror is over. They need to find his wife and kids and make sure they're okay because this situation definitely screams that he murdered his whole family and then went on a shooting spree. They were able to make contact with her and she confirmed that she and the kids were unharmed. They bring him back to the station and he is as calm as can be. The detectives are using the friendly approach in their interrogation. They're like, "All right, Jason, let's go through everything that happened. Is that okay?" At one point, Jason actually thanks the officers for being so kind to him. They tell him the names of the people he shot. He said he had no idea that one of the women in the van was a 14-year-old. He said he felt a lot of remorse for that one. So why isn't he feeling remorse for Tyler? He was only 17. He's still a kid too. Police say he showed no real emotion the whole time he was interrogated. His voice never wavered or got loud. He was really nonchalant the whole time. Keep in mind, this is a man with no history of mental illness, no criminal history. He doesn't do drugs, no financial troubles. He's not religious or super political. He's not a racist. He didn't like conflict and avoided it at all costs. There was some talk about political motives because once his name was released, everyone flocked to stalk his Facebook page like every one of us do when stuff goes down in our town. They see a bunch of photos of a very happy Jason with his wife and kids, but it said progressive in his bio section. Suddenly everyone's like, see, he's an evil progressive liberal, but it was actually the company Progressive Insurance that he worked for. It literally said works at Progressive. A neighbor said he and Jason had a conversation recently. They brought up politics, and he laughed and said, well, we got Donald Trump or Hillary Clinton. It doesn't look like we have a lot of good options. This neighbor said he didn't even know if Jason was a Republican or a Democrat. It took some time, but Jason eventually confessed why he did what he did. He says that when he was driving with Matt, that first passenger that day, something happened with the Uber app. He said he looked down at it and he saw an Eastern Star. Eastern Star is affiliated with the Masons. I don't know enough about the Masons to really discuss it any further, though. He said the Uber app made him do the killings. He said a devil head kept popping up on the screen ordering him to kill. He said the screen often switched from red to black. One color meant to kill, the other color meant stop. That's why he was able to kill people and then go pick up passengers like everything was normal. Dependent upon what color the app was and the devil head that was controlling his movements, he says when he got pulled over, he reached for his gun to begin shooting at the officers, but his app turned red, which meant no, don't do it. So yeah, evil supernatural Uber app. This is a first for me. I don't know about you guys. Side note, I'm going to eventually cover a case about the Polybius arcade game from the 80s. That's the closest I can find to this evil electronic motive. His wife was interviewed by police, and according to Fox 17 Online, they asked her what the issue was. Why do you think he'd do this? She says that she has no idea. He was a normal guy. She said there wasn't any problems in their marriage. He also didn't have any problems at work. People are really reaching for stories of Jason that showed signs of a mass murderer, but unfortunately they're pretty thin. Even a coworker from 15 years ago called police and said he and Jason worked in the same office a long time ago. He said once Jason got angry with a customer on the phone and began yelling at him and hung up the phone. Another said that Jason gave an insurance estimate and got into an argument with the car's owner. So it's all pretty mundane stuff. There's nothing here that screams this guy is going to be a mass murderer. 2 days after his arrest, he is paraded into the courtroom where his charges would be read to him. Dozens of news cameras are showing his face for the first time, and the public got a good look at him. Everyone was shocked how this mild-mannered man could do something as horrendous as this. The judge asked him if he had anything to say, and he said he would prefer to remain silent. His attorneys had plans for an insanity defense. He's trying to make people believe that he is insane and not fit for a trial, yet he was mentally competent enough to go back to his house and reload his guns and swap cars. So he has a mental evaluation hearing, and he was deemed fit to go to trial. In January 2019, a jury selection process is taking place and everyone is ready for this long drawn-out trial, but luckily Jason just goes in and pleads guilty. Both attorneys were really surprised, but this makes it easy. The victims' families and surviving victim Tiana Caruthers gave powerful impact statements. So did the prosecutor, who ended by saying, quote, Our community will continue to support these victims' families and the survivors. He says they will continue to grow stronger despite everything you have done and will celebrate that you'll never be with us again. On February 5th, 2019, Jason Dalton was sentenced to life in prison without the possibility of parole. According to ABC News, an Uber spokesperson said that 2 years after the shooting, it launched the Critical Safety Response Line, a phone number for riders to connect with Uber easily in urgent safety situations. The company said there is also a new feature so that riders can connect directly with 911 through the app. Jason Dalton is currently inmate number 538437 at the Oaks Correctional Facility in Manistee, Michigan. I have no idea why this man did this. Most crimes have a motive. I don't believe his story about the evil Uber app making him do it. I saw a photo on the MLive site of Tiana Caruthers with the 6 little girls she protected that day. They were all surrounding her in a photo, and it was very touching. My heart is with Tiana and Abigail, the 2 survivors who are warriors and inspirations. Rest in peace to all the victims who didn't survive. My heart is with them and their families. Rich Smith, age 53, Tyler Smith, age 17, Mary Lou Nye, age 62, Mary Jo Nye, age 60, Judy Brown, age 74, and Barbara Hawthorne, age 68. That's it for this week, and I'll see you all again soon. Take care, and much love to you all.